Okay, okay. So thank you very much, all of you, for being there. Thank you, of course, Rafaela for this talk, and Julia and Mijin for the exhibition show. And I'm really glad to meet you today. I also want to say this is my very first time in Asia and in Korea, so this is a very specific, a very special experience to me. I'm going to meet new people, Korean one, and it's maybe new ways to for art for me. Um, when Julia and Minjin talk to me about the creation of the exhibition, about perception of time, it interests me a lot because perception of time for me it's a huge subject for painting, and maybe it's the main subject of painting. So with this duo show, with this exhibition with Junho, as a French artist, I'm, I'm meeting someone else, and we are talking maybe about the same subject, but with two different scales, and with maybe we can switch in with our work. Okay. So this is a poster of the exhibition, a really nice one. And okay, so I was saying as a French artist, this exhibition is an opportunity for me to meet a Korean artist, Juno Park, and it's a great chance to begin a dialogue, artistic dialogue with him. So we'll see. We are speaking about time, both of us, but with two very different scales. Juno paintings are bigger and mine are very small. So we will see it's quite the same, but different. And I would like to start speaking about time meaning. Time for me because it's the theme of the exhibition, and time for me is really related to my passion and to my work in the studio. Basically, I'm going to the studio 6 days a week, and thinking about next painting, it's my full-time occupation. And I think the studio is a place where time can be extended, and it's like an island. So every day you are making exactly the same work, the same gesture, the same thinking about colors, but every day it's a different different day. And so you are trying to make good paintings. It means paintings can be shared with the other, can be shared outside from the studio, and maybe every day you fail about this. And so time in the studio force me to accept failure and to be resilient. Um, so yeah, I was speaking about to be resilient with painting and with time, and so every day you are making the same things, and um, you have it's the studio and the time in the studio can show you exactly where you are and what you are capable of, and you are sometimes every day waiting for the next day to try it again. And I really like the words of the artist Alison Katz saying about painting. Painting is a field where you can doubt and where you can believe simultaneously. So this idea of there is no this is not a straight line to a result, and that in when you are making paintings, uh, I just want to say, uh, painting when I'm painting. It's a time very precious and very focused, and I can forget all the rest. And time for me in the studio, um, it's um, it's a space where you see the failure, and I like painting because you can see in the paintings all the failure, all the tries, and all the resilient things you do. So that's the meaning of time for me. And I can next switch to um, maybe my background about time. As a student and as a teenager, I was very interested by comics. Uh, Maybe I came into art with comics books. I was making comics myself, editing my own books, and maybe the comics art scene and making comics was the first place where I can play with time. I choose a strip of Tintin, you know. Um, what I really like in comics, I'm very interested in the blank spaces between two frames. Maybe for me, there are speaking about time. What I like is you are frame one in a space, switching to a totally different image, and you can understand the time is going. And for me, it's so nice, and I'm totally obsessed by this effect in images. So I think I'm thinking about time with images, and can see my work as K images, and I think I keep from this period a taste for sequence in my work. So I would like to show you also, speaking about time, this work of the artist Felix Gonzalez Torres. So this is the first conceptual work I understood, and there are this is the title of this artwork is Two Lovers, and I really like it because the two clocks on the wall uh, at the beginning of the exhibition are just the same, and when the exhibition is going, um, there is no, there are not the same paths, you know, because of mechanic and because of the story maybe. And I think I really like this idea of time and maybe two characters or two personalities. And I like this piece because you can speak about time with objects, and maybe you can speak about time with two characters loving each other. So yes, I wanted to show you this piece because maybe time is about timing between two identities, and that's it for me. And maybe you can speak about your what is time meaning for you.
All right. So for me, my relationship with time and painting, um, I would say time is a way of passing making a painting is way of passing the time. It is a mixture of what I am today and with all the debris from the past and longing for better days. When I'm making a work, I feel like I'm crystallizing the time in some way. Um, and I would like to briefly talk about I'll just talk about myself with my background. I spent half of my life abroad. I left Korea at age of 12 and I lived in Beijing, Vancouver, and New York and Boston for 15 years. And it really helped me to understand the differences in cultures. And at the same time, there were similarities. And I'm very happy to have a show with someone from France, Paris. Yeah. Um, I studied art in New York, and I began to realize while looking at all the paintings that are made from the East and the West at different times and places, I noticed that there were a lot more similarities than differences in terms of mark making. Then I realized there were many similarities with mark making, the painterly gesture, how they approach their subject, and how they recreate by deepening their game. It's a photograph that I took by myself. Um, you can look at the work on the left. It's a drawing by a Korean artist 200 years ago. It's wonderful. And on the right, it's a painting by Francis Bacon that was made roughly about 60 years ago. Although they look very different, if you look at the gestures and if you try to really think about the originality in mark making, I'm pretty sure you can really find the special connection between them. And it just and there and you can find those references everywhere. I was surprised when I'm starting to see such examples. I was surprised to realize that to find the beautiful plain image with mark making, we're all heading towards the same place in the end with originality of marks. Meaning that despite all the differences in cultures, we're sharing a similar aesthetic. I know that a artist, renowned American artist, Pat Steer, is very influenced by Chinese ink drawings. And for myself, I am looking at a lot of Western paintings. I will look at Francis Bacon's paintings for the most. So on the left, you're looking at my work and another Bacon's piece that I was heavily influenced by. And I also know that for a fact that Hugo is very inspired by a Japanese artist, Yuichi Yokohama. Is that name? Yeah. Um, I think that especially in the world that we're living right now, um, the gaps between cultures are breaking down more and more. Thanks to Instagram, we are exposed to endless images of works, and without realizing it, we are kind of taking some of them as part of who we are without knowing it. I would like to briefly talk about my practice. Um, I am I I am I'm an artist who is more interested in how I feel the world rather than how I see it. Now I'm making a work that is called Stacked Suns. It's a series, and here is how I started. Um, sitting by, I was sitting by the sun shining river with deep frustration, and I stared at the sun for a long time as I was begging for my life. And after a long time, I closed my eyes and I saw many after images of it. And that's when I realized that I needed more than one sun. So I started to stack them, um, so that I can live on with healing power or some energy. But my but I wouldn't say that my work isn't necessarily to heal others. This is just how I navigate the world. So you're looking at the first piece I made for the series. I stared at the painting for a long time, for a few days after I was done, and then I began to then I really began to make the series. Um, while I'm speaking about my work, I am very cautious when I'm talking about it because what it often does is that it limits your work, what a work can do to you. Because one thing that I know about art is that it opens you up, it allows you to really realize that what you know now might not be the ultimate truth. Um, but to give a hint of what I'm feeling or going through when I'm making the work, I made this piece during the cherry blossom season. For those of you who were here in March, probably you saw them. It's absolutely gorgeous by just looking at it. But every March, like every year, I would have some like terrible accidents happen to me. I would go through a breakup, or I would actually lose someone precious. Um, so like every March, like every season of that cherry blossoms, it's so weird because it's absolutely gorgeous, but inside I'm kind of dying. So it's the colors that I use from the cherry blossoms, and in the back, it's my pure anxiety, the rage, or just bleeding. This piece I made um, while I was thinking about the day that I spent by the ocean. The oval disc, they are the colors of the waves that I saw in the day. And in the back, it's a color of the night at the same spot. And I'm trying to like, it's a recollection of my memories. Um, I would like to say that mostly abstract paintings, they create mood, and figurative paintings, they sphere. And one thing that I want to do with abstraction is that to capture the atmosphere through abstraction. So I am trying to give a clear difference in with the background and what's in front. This piece, I was influenced by the color of the scenery in front of my studio at 4 a.m. And this piece is um, I made with the imagination of hair. If you know the hairs, they grow to protect your skin. And as I was laying in my bed, I imagined myself fully covered with hair from head to toe because I was very vulnerable and I needed more protection for myself. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Um, to speak about my work and mostly about my work, part of my work I'm showing in this exhibition. Would like to start with maybe the first time I paint alka. It's like it means medicine falling in a glass. So the first time was in this painting called Early. Early, it's like a still life, a morning poem I paint, maybe a humoristic scene, and in this painting you can see nuts floating like little brains in a coffee plate. You can see empty shell landing on the table and two flowers, belle de jour. It's like flowers are opening only in the day. And on the left, you can see a big blue glass with a freezing medicine inside. And when I made this painting, this little poem, I was very interested in this glass part of the painting because for me it was uh, the glass itself itself was still life. So I decided to extract this subject and to make a big series about it. And I had in mind also uh, the Alka-Seltzer painting of Roy Lichtenstein, because the pop artist Roy Lichtenstein made also a painting of this American medicine, and it was a way to me to tribute to American pop artists, to their taste for multiplicity and for um, mainstream objects into fine art. So I decided to work in a big series. I can say I'm not seeing the Alka as independent paintings. The Alka series for me a painting set, I can say, a painting set speaking about time, and maybe to respond to Juno. I think we are working about time in two very different scales. Juno is beginning with a big scale, with astral scales to speak about emotional, and I think I'm making the contrary. I'm choosing a very daily object, a very small one, to contain abstraction and to hide my emotional vibes, maybe. And how to say, I could just in front work by Luc Tuymans, because with very small objects you can speak, and you can speak about time, and you can. I'm mostly thinking about a sequence with this work. Yeah, thank you. So the Alka are medicine glasses, freezing like maybe lights. It could be glasses, it could be lights, it could be characters. I no no just maybe there are still life objects, uh, and they are like sunglasses. It's like clocks speaking about time, and it's a typical painting exercise for me. It's a space where I can and where I can totally with shapes and colors and stay in the subject. So actually there is Alka, and maybe we continue. It's um, it's a sequence work for me, and I'm very glad to show a big part of it uh, in the show with Juno, because maybe the two works are going to speak about time in a very special way. Thank you very much.